All right, let's talk about Derek Carr. I've made my fair share of Derek Carr film studies over the years, but he is now a member of the New Orleans Saints, and I think it's worth mentioning he's coming off of a pretty rough year as well for the Raiders. So I figured making a video about him and kind of talking about what is he bringing to the table for the Saints could be interesting because he is. I think it's fair to say, first things first, he is coming off of a rough year. Although going over to a play like this, I do want to, the play we're going to start off with, I want to say, I don't think it was all his fault. I think people will kind of look at, okay, you have some good weapons, Davante Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, still weren't able to be successful. Clearly, you're the problem. That's how people will view this stuff, but that's not how it always works. I think part of it was, listen, those guys were not all healthy all year last year. That was certainly an aspect, and sometimes it was just like, I thought, for example, Hunter Renfrow, I think a lot of people associate his sort of down year with just being in the Josh McDaniels scheme, and I would probably agree, but there are also some plays like this. The way it's designed to work is it's going to be man coverage, and Renfrow's route, I mean, this is the route that you look towards. This is what Carr, did a lot last year was, hey, if it's man coverage and I got Renfrow running a route that's going to be over the middle, a good angle to throw to, yeah, I'm going to look in that direction. Right when this play begins, you see that Renfrow has really not gotten that much separation. This is going to be a tough throw if Carr decides to make it, but you know what? This is still a throw that Carr wants to see if he can, make happen. And, if he feels like he has a window, he is the kind of player who can at times fit the ball through tight windows. As you see, I would say this is a good throw that just wasn't quite able to be complete right there by Carr. I don't know if you want to blame Renfrow. That would have been a tough catch, and it looked like maybe the defender even I don't know if he got a hand on it, but maybe, created enough contact to not allow the completion to be made. It was good defense at the end of the day, but I'm not doing this to say, oh, it was all Hunter Renfrow's fault. No, obviously not. The reason I'm bringing up this play is simply to say that there were instances where Carr was doing some nice things that just weren't working out for whatever reason that weren't really his fault. Granted, there was also some stuff like this, which was his fault. Like, it was a down year. I'm not going to deny that. And this is a one-on-one matchup with Davante Adams on the outside. And, one of the things I talked about heading into this season was kind of one of the weaknesses we thought about with the Raiders heading into last season was their offensive line. But one of the advantages that adding a guy like Adams does to your line is they don't have to block for as long because you get these plays where your quarterback can just get rid of the ball basically immediately. Watch, Carr takes a snap, sees it's a one-on-one matchup with Adams, so just throws one up, but throws it too far and it's incomplete. There was a little bit of that as well. I did think that there were some yards on the table for Adams that Carr didn't hit. I thought that was a little bit of something that I noticed. So again, usually Carr is very good at getting chemistry with players, but in this instance, didn't quite work out. And again, it might have just simply been he only had 1 year to work with Adams, and if he had another year, they could have really gotten the chemistry down because it wasn't a disaster or anything, but just, could have been, I think, perfect, and it wasn't. Again, stuff like this too, where it's like, I think it's probably fair. Maybe the best way I would phrase what happened when things went wrong for the Raiders, which wasn't always. It wasn't always that things went wrong offensively. But when things did go wrong, it was a lot of stuff like this, where right off the bat, the way this play is going to work is designed to get Darren Waller the ball, which, sure, if you can get Darren Waller the ball, get Darren Waller the ball. There's two safeties deep on this play, but hopefully there will be a little window kind of in between both of those two safeties. If Waller can get past the player he's going to be going up against, there could be a little window for this throw to be made. Again, tough window even on paper, but an opportunity potentially. Well, when this play begins in practice, you're going to see that it works kind of about as you would have expected on paper. Waller doing some nice work, getting a little bit of separation right here. There is a window, but man, this is a tough window. This is going to have to be a highlight reel level play and an incredible throw if Carr is going to fit it in there. And as you see, this throw is going to be just a bit too far for it to really be a completion. To me, this is kind of what I saw a lot of with the Raiders, or I should say at least I saw too much of with the Raiders last year, was there be situations where Carr would have to really make these elite level throws, to kind of throw like Drew Brees would make consistently, but like very few people would make consistently, and Carr would make them sometimes and miss them sometimes, which is what you expect from a quarterback of his caliber, which is a very good quarterback. You're not going to hit those consistently, even if you are a very good quarterback. So that's kind of, again, another issue I saw with Carr. Also heading over to this play. So what's going to happen here? I want to kind of talk about, there were some turnovers with Carr, but kind of just some fluky things that went against him. I really did think that was, what happened, where this play is a great example. Just like people look at turnovers, people look at interceptions, but really, they can be a very fluky stat, and this is just an example of one. Carr is going to eventually look towards his tight end on this play. Again, good route, kind of a good angle for him to make the throw underneath. It's man coverage, definitely something that can work out. And in fact, right after this ball is snapped, it appears as though this is a good situation where you can definitely at least gain some yards, even if it's not going to be, a massive play. It's a good situation. This should get you some yards. Carr's throw is definitely a bit behind, but it ends up getting intercepted, which again, that's okay, sure, a perfect throw wouldn't have caused that to happen, but that's also just some bad luck there and as well. And I did think that while Carr, made too many mistakes last year, also got some bad luck as well last year. I think it can all be, the same. Although there were also plays like this where I think maybe he just tried to do too much, where Waller is going to be the guy that not Waller, Renfrow. How did I confuse those two guys? Could not look more dissimilar. Renfrow is the guy that he will be trying to throw to, kind of running just a quick route over the middle. So he wants to get it there in a hurry. Right when this play begins, definitely there's a window, and I almost wonder if this was a communication thing, because it almost looks like Carr is expecting Renfrow to just stop, and Renfrow keeps going, which ideally in this situation, you would like Renfrow to stop. Now, I don't know if that's the way the play is designed to work, though. I'm not in the huddle. I can't say for certain, and teams do that, run these types of things differently. Some would want Renfrow to stop. Some would want Renfrow to keep going. Just depends on what team you're doing, what scheme you're running. It doesn't matter what you do, but you have to be on the same page. Carr's throw is behind, and it ends up getting intercepted once again. At the end of the day, quarterback does have to figure that stuff out, though, and you have to make sure you're on the same page with the receiver, although it could be the receiver's fault, and maybe it was just a different scheme, and that gave Carr some trouble. Maybe Carr wasn't a great fit in this system, even though kind of going in, I think we all thought he would be a good fit in the system, although it's not that dissimilar of a system to what they do in New Orleans, what we assume they will do with when Carr gets there in New Orleans, but who knows. So what's the value of Derek Carr? I think, listen, I don't know if we can fully say what exactly went wrong. I think that's something that a lot of people don't like to hear. A lot of people wanted to say, what's the definitive reason things went wrong? I think there was a lot of little things that went wrong, and it's hard to say exactly what the big overarching reason was, or maybe there was no big reason. Maybe it was just a bunch of little things that kind of accumulated into a bad season. But I do think it's fair to say with Carr, I would expect him to have a bounce back season. I do think that last year, probably was an anomaly, and I think that it's probably a good idea to buy low on a player like this who is just 32 years old, and it would be very surprising if he all of a sudden just didn't have it anymore. Although it has happened where guys' careers kind of fall off around this time too. It's rare, but it does happen. Andy Dalton took a massive step back kind of once he got into his 30s. It's something that could happen as well. I just wouldn't bet on it, is my thought process on all of that. So yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.